Ozi V'simrat yam Vayili Lishua Ozi V'simrat yam Vayili Lishua Zimrat ya vayili Yeshua Ozi Zimrat ya vayili Yeshua Zimrat ya vayili Lishua Ozi Zimrat ya vayili
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I feel like after the rain yesterday, we get a beautiful day, and that feels in sort of way symbolic of like after a year like we've had, we get to be in the sanctuary together. This is one of the first services where we have our cantor, or the rabbi, our musical team back in the sanctuary for many, many months. And it feels particularly joyous to be here together to celebrate Shabbat, to mark the milestone of a young man taking his place in our community this morning, Ryder. We are so thrilled and honored that you will be leading so much of our service this morning as you become bar mitzvah. I'm Rabbi Angela Buchdahl, joined by Cantor Dan Mutlu, our incredible musical team that joins us. We want to welcome not only those of you who are seated in our sanctuary this morning, but also those who are joining us by live stream, Facebook, JBS, and are very much a part of our extended family every week. And thank you for celebrating Shabbat with us and Ryder's bar mitzvah. We are very happy that he will be leading us this morning and sharing of his wisdom, but we hope that you will bring your voices with you, whether you're in a mask or in a room somewhere very far away. We feel your energy when you join us. So we will begin our service with the call to worship, the Baruch Hu, and I invite you to rise if you're able on page 108 as we join together.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Baruch Ata Adonai Habocher B'Amo Yisrael Be'ahava Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. We're on page 116. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We are at our Song of Freedom, Mi Chamocha, on page 122. Mi Chamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora, Tehilo, Oseh, Feleh, Nora, Tehilo, Oseh, Feleh, Micha.
Turn now to page 124 as we prepare for Amidah, the heart of our prayer service. We'll sing this introductory kavanah, this intention together, and then we will actually continue with the Amidah at our own pace and silently, and when you are finished, I invite you to be seated. But together now we rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach Ufi agi tehilatecha Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל
So we turn now to our Torah service, which will be led by Ryder. In great part, we turn I invite you to all please rise, and I'll invite Ryder to come up to the bima as he opens up our Torah service.
The lighted Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai teaches flow from Jerusalem. This scroll nurtured for our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice and hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti unerom rema shemo yachdav.
Now I invite you, Ryder, to ascend up to the top of our bima. It's like our Mount Sinai moment. We're going to pass the Torah to you. I'll invite your parents and grandparents to join us up here, and the rest of the congregation to please be seated. So, Ryder, I just said that this was a Sinai moment because this is actually a symbolic moment where you stand at Sinai like every generation in your family did at one point and received Torah, just as our first people received this very scroll. If you think about it, it's kind of an awesome and huge responsibility to take on this scroll that has been passed on for 3,000 years. And it could feel even fearful, maybe a little nervous like you're feeling this morning for your bar mitzvah. But I want you to know that in a very real way, you don't stand here alone. You are here with your parents who love you so much, your grandparents, your clergy team, your extended family. And I want you to imagine that this line stretches past your grandparents to great-grandparents, their parents, and the parents who came before them. And each one of them, in some way, even when it was hard to be Jewish, even when it was dangerous to study Torah and pass it on, that wherever your family lived through all of Jewish time, they found some way to pass this Judaism on to the next generation. So it's nothing short of a miracle that you're standing here in 2021, receiving this very scroll that has come through your family in an unbroken chain. And now you're becoming bar mitzvah today is a statement that you are now a part of this epic story and this epic family. And we couldn't be more proud to pass this to you, to hear you share your own interpretation of our Torah today, and to send you off with love on this Bar Mitzvah day.
You're a gift and you're a blessing. You are history in song. You are hope and you are healing. You are learning to be strong. L'dor vador nagid God lecha. L'dor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. L'dor vador these lips will praise your name.
Announce that first.
Yeah. My Torah portion is taken from the Parshat Shalat Leha, from the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verses 23 to 31. For my first aliyah, I called upon my grandparents, Irene, Jerry Feinblatt, my grandma Rhonda, Larry, and Gail Cohen.
Grandparents? Okay, you can come over here, and so they can see the blessing there. Hi. Hello. Oh, right here is perfect. Yep. Just close to this microphone. Are you all ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'kei b'nu v'kei lahani, v'natah lanu et Torah. Baruch Adonai Adonai notei haTorah.
Amen.
Vayavo ad nachal Eshkol, vayikretu misham zemora v'eshkol anavim ehad, vayisauhu vamo bishnaim, umin rimonim, umin hatenim, lamakom hahu kara nachal Eshkol ado hashkol asher kartu misham b'nei Yisrael. Vayashuvu mitor ha'aretz miketz arba'im yom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah v'chayei olam natan. Baruch atah Adonai notei haTorah.
Amen.
There you go. Excellent. That was great. Okay, so now you're going to say for my second.
For my second aliyah, I call upon my parents, Howie and Jara Feinblatt.
Okay, now you can come back over here. Okay. All right. You ready?
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Leolam
Baruch atah Adonai. Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher Barkabanu Mikol Ha'amim Venatan Lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayelhu, Vayavo, El Moshe, Vel Aharon, Velo Kol Adat, Bnei Israel, El Mibar, Ron Kadesha, Vayashivu, Tam Devar Vet Kol Haida, Vayarum et Pri Haaretz, Vayisa Prulom, Vayomru, Banu, El Haaretz, Vigam, Zavat Halav, Zavat Halav Udavash, Hevizeh Piria, Efet Keith, Hazam, Hayoshev Ari, Bitsuro, Gedulo, Me'od, Ra'inu, Vigam Yilide, Ra'inu Sham.
Nice. Okay, and blessing after.
Baruch
Baruch
atah
atah
Adonai
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayi olam nata b'tikinu Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
So, Ryder, I'm going to take a step back here, and why don't you stand over there? And I know you're eager to chant the blessing before your Torah, but just for these few words that I'm going to share with you, just face me, because I'm filled with incredible pride and joy to see you this morning leading our congregation so beautifully here in the sanctuary and online. And I know that people are kvelling far and wide for you. So I just wanted to share in this moment, we're about to call you to the Torah. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, I'm already at the Torah. But this is your aliyah. This is the moment where we say that you are ready, that you are of bar mitzvah age, and you're ready for the responsibility not only of chanting this blessing, which blesses the Torah reading before you chant it, but also everything that comes with it, all the responsibilities of being a young Jewish adult. And that might seem like a heavy burden to put on your shoulders, but you're not alone because you're part of our future. All of the generation that are coming up, young people like yourself who are capable and smart, are going to lead the way for our people. And seeing you today lead us so beautifully fills us with such incredible hope and promise for the future. So, Ryder, I call you up at this moment for the first time as a bar mitzvah by your Hebrew name, and we do so with incredible joy for this moment. Yamod, 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 Habar Mitzvah, Berel Simcha ben Tzvi Yosef v'Fegele.
Baruch et Adonai Hambara.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam La'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Asher bahar banu mikol hayamim venatan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amalek Yoshev be'eret ha'negev ve'ha'hiti ve'hayevusi ve'hamori Yoshev bahar ve'kanani Yoshev al hayam ve'al yad hayarden vayas kalev et el Moshe vayomer lo nuale vayarashnu ota ki ahol la Banashim asher amru lalo ki azak hu mimenu. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam natan b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Okay, so now we're going to go to your Haftarah. So we're going to move this aside here. And why don't you do this Haftarah announcement?
The Haftorah for this week is taken from the book of Joshua. I'll be reading chapter 2, verse 20.
And then you had the,
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen faithful prophets to speak of the truth. Praise to you, Adonai, for the revelation of Torah, for your servant Moses, for your people Israel, and the prophets of truth and righteousness. Vayomru el Yehoshua, ki natan Adonai biyadei nu ekol haaretz, v'gam no mugu kol yoshvei haaretz mi panenu.
okay, so now you're going to do your speech. Okay? So nice and slowly, all right?
Yep. Shabbat Shalom. In my Torah portion, Moses sent 12 people to go scout the land of Canaan. He wanted them to find things like whether the country was good or bad. Are the people strong or weak? Is the soil rich or poor? After 40 days, they returned. Caleb and Joshua said we must go and take control of the land. The other 10 people who scouted the land did not agree. They say there are too many people in the land and the Israelites will never win. The community agrees with the 10 scouts and they say they don't want to go to the land of Israel. The community's punishment for not believing that they could conquer the land of Israel was that they had to wander the desert for 40 years. The whole group of people left Egypt will all die before reaching Israel. Why was this their punishment? One possible reason is because the Jewish people did not have trust in each other. Big decisions require them to have trust in one another. If you don't have each other's back, you could fail or get hurt. God cannot let them get hurt and go into a land if you don't have trust in one another, because then they would not support and stand by one another. Another possibility is that wandering in the desert would teach them about having hope. Walking in the desert for 40 years teaches perseverance, to be resilient and have hope. Throughout Jewish history, where would we be if we didn't have hope? There's a line from the Paul Psalms that we sing in our prayer for healing that says, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joy." Although you might be upset, there is always something good, and you just have to hope that it will come. In addition, Israelites also needed optimism. They needed to think that they might be able to overcome these challenges and be optimistic. I think that not being optimistic can lead to many challenges, and that's why God gave them that punishment, which hopefully teaches them to have more optimism in the future. Being optimistic is a part of life, especially now during the pandemic when we're forced to adjust our lifestyle for the sake of the world. Bar mitzvahs were canceled, camp was canceled. People cannot see family for almost a year. But as a community, we came together and we believed in each other, and we overcame these challenges. When faced with the challenge of not having camp this past summer, I looked at it optimistically, that I got to spend the whole summer with my family instead of being upset the whole summer. The pandemic has brought a lot of challenge and loss to our community. Like the Israelites, some people decide to look at only the negative and the things that they couldn't do, rather than try to find something that they could do and look at the world with optimism. Even though we can't look at everything with a positive outlook, it can help us to deal with hard situations. The Israelites looked at Israel negatively and they did not see the positive of what they would be going into a new land, and so they had to wander in the desert for 40 years. Maybe if they had some optimism and hope, they would have been able to make a different choice. Shabbat Shalom.
Wow. Ryder, that was so beautiful. And you embody that message of optimism and resiliency. And I'm so proud of you. I know your family and your community that are here were bursting with pride. I'm going to invite you to stand and invite your parents and your brother to come join you at the Bima for a moment to be the first to congratulate you. As we celebrate this moment, I have to say, just knowing you, Ryder, is to feel your kindness and your goodness and your menschlichkeit and strength that come through. We rise together in celebration of your becoming bar mitzvah. Simba tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simba tov, simba tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simba tov, simba tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simba tov. Hey, hey, lanu, hey, lanu, hey, lanu, l'chol Yisrael. Hey, lanu, invite us to remain standing. I'm going to invite your family to go back to their seats. But Ryder, I'm going to bring you up to the ark so we can offer you a few words of blessing before our Holy Torah scrolls.
Taking your place in a resilient life. This is the day that you stood up to say, our tradition is mine. You have now held the Torah, forged a link to the past. You're the face of our future and the reason we last. ללכת בדרכיו ולשמור מצוותיו כל העמים. May you walk in God's ways and may all of your days be blessings. It is said we stood at Sinai and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. It is said we stood at Sinai, and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer.
With every service, we have an opportunity for memory, calling to mind the people who were no longer here, but very much a part of this moment, perhaps people from this family that you're thinking of, who would have loved to have been here and are blessing you right in this moment, each of us in our own ways, carrying people in our hearts. I name those from our central community who have been taken in recent days: Richard Ballinger, father of Daniel and Joshua; Murray Davidson, husband of Myrna, father of Lenny, Paul, and Gary; Ann Lowy, mother of Neil; Leon Poland, father of Sherry Aronson; Herbert Strauss, brother of Joyce Koplik. And perhaps you are also thinking of a loved one whose yahrzeit is at this time, or that you're mourning. If you want to say that name aloud, whether you're in the sanctuary or watching us by live stream, I invite you to do so. May their memories be a blessing. We join together on page 294 for our mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam u'lalmei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechamata, ta'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
We're going to conclude with one last song of celebration, a song of joy and light and gladness as we celebrate with this family and wish you a hearty Mazel Tov, Ryder. Beautiful job leading us today. Let's sing La Yehudim. La Yehudim, Hay Tahora, V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar. Ken tiyeh lanu, Ken
joy forth out into a world which really needs it. We say Shabbat Shalom.
נפשי ישובב, ינחני ומגלי צדק, ינחני ומגלי צדק, למען שמו. shanta vashemen roshi kosi revaya ach tu vachesed yirdifuni kol yemei chayai kol yemei chayai v'shavti bevet Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar. Adonai roi lo echsar.
Dodi likrat kala peri Shabbat nekabela lecha Dodi likrat kala peri Shabbat nekabela shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmianu ilham yuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litechila lecha Dodi likrat kala peri Shabbat nekabela lecha Dodi likrat kala peri Shabbat nekabela
השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Raise me up to a world of living, oh, safe from the storm, in the shelter of your shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Behamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. If I could follow and know all of your ways and wisdom, oh, you would keep me safe, and I'd always praise your name. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. V'hamidenu malkeinu Misheberach Avoteinu Mekor habracha Leimotenu.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us,
Help us find the
Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is a joy to be here this Shabbat morning. It feels like after the rain of yesterday, the sun has come out, and that really feels like the way we've felt about this year. It's been a long, rainy year, and we are coming back together. It really feels joyful to be in the sanctuary together. This is only my second service in the sanctuary with my cantor on a Saturday morning and the musical team. So we are feeling those budding flowers of a life coming back, and it's just such a joy. It's a particular privilege to mark a milestone, not only for Brody becoming bar mitzvah today, but of a family that's beloved in this congregation, and to be able to celebrate this milestone moment together. It really is a celebration for all of us. I'm Rabbi Angela Buchdahl. I'm joined by Cantor Dan Mutlu, by our incredible musical team led by David Strickland. And I want to welcome not only those of you who are sitting in our sanctuary, but you know, Brody, that the community that's gathered with you this morning is much bigger than you're seeing in the sanctuary. We have people joining us on live stream, on JBS, and on our Facebook Live page from all over the country and even the world. And so they're celebrating Shabbat with us and celebrating this moment, and going to have the privilege of hearing you chant Torah and sharing your own words of wisdom. So we're grateful to be together. We're going to join together with our call to worship, which is on page 108. I'll invite you to please rise if you're able as we begin our service together.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We're on page 115. Baruch ata Adonai, abocher b'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto le'olam va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol nafscha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shofrecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam me'ot al-yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtartam al mezuzot beitecha u'risharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We are now on page 122 as we share in our Song of Freedom, Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Chamocha Nedar Kodesh, Nora, Nora, Tehillah,
Osei,
Osei,
Feleh, Norah, Tehillah, Osei, Feleh, Micha, Mocha, Va'elim Adonai, Micha, Mocha, Nedabar Kodesh, Norah, Tehillah, Osei, Feleh, Norah, Tehillah, Osei,
Page 124 begins our tefillah, prayer service of our own petitions. We'll begin with this prayer on page 124 together, and then I'll invite us to continue through Amidah at our own pace silently, and that when you are finished, to invite you to please be seated. But we begin by rising together.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Leratzo imrefi vegyoni bi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai
Invite Brody to come up to our bima as we begin our Torah service together, and he will lead us in the opening words. I'll invite everyone in the congregation and anyone else joining us to please rise. Wait 1 second.
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem. This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti uneromema shemo yachdav.
Brody, I invite you to come up and stand here at the top of our bima, joined by your parents and grandparents, as we pass the Torah to you in this moment. So this is what we would call a Sinai moment, not just because you're kind of here on this mountaintop up here, but because you're receiving a Torah that has been passed down in every generation in your family from the moment of Sinai when we received this Torah all the way through. So you can see the most immediate people who passed it to you, your parents and grandparents who passed it to them. And you know that this line extends to great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents and people whose names we no longer know. But I think that you know that in each generation, they found a way, even when it was hard to be Jewish, even when it was dangerous to teach Torah, to pass this Torah in some form to the next generation with the dreams that our story, our values would pass to another generation. And I know how much we think of those who are not standing here, but in many ways, even when they're not present, that you are very much a fulfillment of the dreams that they each had in every generation. And you're standing here as a bar mitzvah today is your way of saying, I'm taking my place in this epic story that I'm a part of. I have a role to play. And we couldn't be more proud of who you are and the role that you've already played. And the way that we know you will take this, make it your own, and pass it to the generation that will come after you in a line that will stretch hopefully way beyond that we can imagine this way as well. So with much love, with our hearts full, we pass you this Torah on this day of your bar mitzvah.
You're a gift and you're a blessing. You are history in song. You are hope and you are healing. You are learning to be strong. V'tov Adon nagid God lecha. V'tov Adon we protect this chain. From generation to generation, L'tov Ador, these lips will praise your name.
You'd all please be seated.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Shalach Lecha from the book of Numbers, chapter 14, verses 1 to 10. For my first Aliyah, I call upon my uncle Joel, Aunt Michelle, Uncle Seth, and Aunt Jenna.
Is up here. You see it on the there. Way at the top. Yeah. Okay, you ready? All together now? Yeah. 1, 2, go.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu LeTorato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Do your first Aliyah Vatisa.
Vatisa kol ha'eda vayitnu et kolam vayivku ha'am b'layla hachu vayilonu al Moshe ve'Aharon kol b'nei Yisrael vayomeru alehem kol ha'eda lumatnu be'eret Mitzrayim o bamidbar hazeh lumatnu velama Adonai mi ve'otanu el ha'aretz hazot linpol bechev nashenu v'tapenu yihiyu lavas halo tov lanu shuv Mitzrayma vayomeru ish elahiv nitna rosh v'nashuva Mitzrayma.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. Okay, and then you're going to say for my second Aliyah.
For my second Aliyah, I call upon my grandma, Terry, Poppy, Lonnie, Mom, Mackenzie, and Dad, Ian. Where is the second one?
It's here. They're going to do the blessing. You see it? They're going to do the blessing.
Okay.
Right. You all ready? It's okay.
Okay.
All right. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayipol Moshe ve'Aharon al pneihem lifnei kol kehel adat b'nei Yisrael ve'Hoshua bin Nun ve'Halev ben Yefuneh min hatarim et haaretz kar'u bigdehem vayomeru El kol adat b'nei Yisrael le'mor haaretz asher avarnu va la'tor ota tova haaretz me'od me'od.
Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei ha'kam natam b'tohenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Brody, I have the privilege of getting to call you up for your Aliyah by your Hebrew name. And this is a moment of, this is another peak moment where we mark you're actually becoming bar mitzvah by being called to an aliyah. You're actually allowed to read Torah before you're 13, but you're not allowed to have an aliyah before you're 13. And this is what our tradition considers the highest honor that we can give someone. And you've certainly deserved it. I think about having the privilege of actually knowing you since you were a baby and watching you grow up. And you know that a person's character is shaped by so many things. First of all, just the gifts that God gave you when you were born, the way it's been developed through your loving family, the circumstances that life throws at us and the way we respond to those challenges. And I've just seen you grow into an incredibly thoughtful, deeply feeling compassionate young man with a quiet strength that just kind of comes through when you speak and when you interact with others. And it is a privilege to see the young man that you're becoming. This is what we celebrate today, not anything that you do, just who you are. But we're also pretty excited that you're going to have your aliyah. So with much love in our hearts and with pride in who you are in our community, we call you up for the highest honor of an aliyah for your bar mitzvah. Yamod Yamod ha-bar mitzvah, Yechiel ben Chaim v'chai Yehudit, l'aliyah la-Torah. And we'll do the blessing. Okay, thank you.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notin ha'Torah.
Amen. Right there. Im chafetz.
Im hafetz banu Adonai v'hevi otanu el ha'aretz hazot untanach lanu eretz asher hi zavat halav udvash ach badonai et al tim rodu ve'atem al tir'u et am haaretz ki lachmenu hem sarsilam me'alehem Badonai itanu hira'um vayomeru kol ha'eda lirgom otam ba'avanim uchvod Adonai nir'ah be'el moed el kol b'nei Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tachenu. Baruch atah Adonai notin ha'Torah.
Amen.
The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Joshua. I will be reading from chapter 2, verses 1. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bin v'im tovim v'ratza v'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah uv Moshe avdo uv Yisrael amo uvim v'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Vayishla Yehoshua min Nun min hashitim shnaim anashim meraglim eresh lemor lechu reu et haaretz vet Yeriho vayelhu vayavo Beit Isha Zona Ushma Rahav Vaishkavu Shama. Shabbat Shalom. Our story kicks off with the Eternal One, aka God, tasking Moses with scouting the land of Canaan, aka Israel, which God plans to give to the Jewish people. Moses picks his scouts, and they venture out to see a well-developed society which is fortified and full of people. The scouts report that, while the land is nice, they don't think the Israelites can conquer the people of the land. After hearing that info, all the people run away and rebel against God's wishes. Enraged by the dismissal of his presence, God puts forth a punishment, barring the people from entering the land for 40 years, a year for each day that the scouts were in the land. All the Israelites who were in the group that left Egypt will die before getting to enter Israel. My question is, why did the Israelites believe the report of the scouts and try to run away from God? God has done a lot for them up until this point. God freed them from Egypt and gave them the Torah, and they still don't believe that God will help them get into the land. A recurring theme that really sticks with me here is how difficult it is to believe in something you cannot see when something you can see is telling you something completely different. These people deny God's promises simply because the scouts gave them a different message and only one of these entities sat in front of them. Seeing as the Jewish people had just been freed from Egypt, a community rooted more in materialization, this isn't exactly unexpected behavior, but they immediately run off and believe the scouts instead of God. Similarly, maybe these people don't even want the land because they'd never seen it. They've put no real care or effort into it and simply ran away when challenged. Even though they were told they were going to take the land, maybe they all shared a thinking that they didn't really care about it. Just like they had never seen God, they had never seen the land, and so they didn't feel a connection to it. Perhaps, in addition to clinging to what they could see, the Israelites were also afraid. They were afraid of fighting the people in the land because they felt weak compared to them. They don't know what the land is like and what it'll be like to fight for it. They also might feel alone since they're still getting to know God and Moses. We all know what it's like to be afraid. When we're afraid, we blend our fear and denying of an idea. Fear can scramble one's ideas within seconds. The Israelites might have known that they should listen to God, but when they were afraid, they couldn't have rational thoughts anymore. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav teaches, the whole world is a narrow bridge, and the most important thing is to not be afraid. There's always something to fear, but we shouldn't let it rule our lives. When presented with two paths, don't let fear stray you from the right path, but instead stick with your rationality. It's not as easy as saying don't be afraid, though. As long as I can remember, I've been terrified of needles. Just like these people, I would much rather freak out than think rationally, as unfortunate as that may be. Over time, I've grown and had more experiences with them, and I'm not as scared as I once was, even though sometimes I still might get scared. Even though this example might be specific, I guarantee all of us have gone through something similar. It's quite common to see a shared feeling of overwhelming fear, all from different walks of life, with the same feeling embodied within all of us. However, we can see from this Torah portion how destructive fear can be. We should all try to take a step back and be a bit more composed when we're afraid so that we can handle the situation rationally. Shabbat Shalom.
Wow, Brody, what an incredible teaching. We're freaking out now, too, with just how beautifully you've led us this morning, the teaching, the chanting, and just demonstrating what it is to be a young Jewish adult. Now, we are freaking out here. I bet online, lots of comments are coming in congratulating you, and we sing together this song that says the whole house of Israel is rejoicing with you. So let's rise as we sing Siman Tov together.
And we'll invite your family and Ruby to join you.
Yes, please come up.
To celebrate and give you your first hugs as bar mitzvah.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov. Hey, hey, lanu, hey, hey, lanu, hey, lanu, Ulecho Yisrael.
ask people to remain standing because I'd like to take Brody to the ark for a blessing. And I invite you in that moment as I'm blessing him to offer your own words of blessing on this young man as he takes his place in our congregation as well.
To a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. And all shall praise your name. That I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. And you shall be a blessing. Lechi
Concluding prayers with the Aleinu found on page 282.
Aleinu l'shapeach
Ladon hakol,
Latein g'ula yotzei Bereshit, Shelo asanu g'lir haratzot, Velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, Shelo sam chelkenu kahem, Velo aleinu kechol ha'olam, V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'eman v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, Vayom hahu yireh Adonai echad, U'shemo
Every service in which Jews gather ends with a moment of memory with the Kaddish prayer, a time where we call to mind and honor the lives of those who are no longer here but are very much present with us, perhaps especially in life cycle moments like this. And we think of them and hold them dear. We offer a prayer that thanks God for the life that we had with them. We name also in this community those who've died in recent days from the Central family: Richard Ballinger, father of Daniel and Joshua; Murray Davidson, husband of Myrna, father of Lenny, Paul, and Gary; Ann Lowy, mother of Neil; Leon Poland, father of Sherry Aronson; Herbert Strauss, brother of Joyce Koplick. And those who we hold deep in our hearts in this moment as we share together in Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lolmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechamata, dam miran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
We'll conclude now with this song of praise and celebration as we celebrate you, Brody, and the amazing job that you did today leading our service. As we wish you a mazel tov, we'll sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Bringing this light and joy and hopefulness to us this morning. Let us bring that out into the world that really needs it. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורך
בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, כדי שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, כדי שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, כדי שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing, turning to page 28 for our call to worship.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, להתנסה וחסר כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ללא העוז והמשרה. והוא הביא בחי גואלי, בסוף הביא בעת צרה. והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, ונרקוסי ביום אקרא. בידו הפקיד רוחי, ועת אישן בעינה, ועם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ללא יראה. לה 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 Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham va'anachnu nevarech ya me'ata ve'ad olam. Oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסמו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבוד Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom. V'hamidenu Malkeinu Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Borechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh
In the rising of the sun, we remember. In the blowing of the wind, we remember. In the opening of buds, we remember. We remember. In the blueness of the sky, we remember. In the rustling of the leaves, we remember. As the year starts and it ends, we remember. We remember. When we're weary and need strength, we remember. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we've joys we yearn to share, we remember. We remember. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember, we remember. We remember. We remember.
Shabbat Shalom. 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 Shir HaTanot Teshuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Fitting way to begin with a song of ascents as we all feel that our spirits are elevated being here together on this beautiful Shabbat morning as we observe Shabbat together and celebrate it, and also celebrate a milestone moment in two amazing young women who are taking their place in our congregation and will be leading a lot of the service today. I'm Rabbi Angela Buchdahl. I'm joined by Cantor Dan Mutlu and our musical director David Strickland, who's marking 15 years with us at Central Synagogue as he leads our incredible musical team. We're grateful that they're in here. This is only my second Shabbat in 16 months where I get to be in the sanctuary with people in it, with the cantor. So it feels like we're seeing like springtime buds of rebirth, of life coming back. And I have to say that it's such a pleasure to look out and see you here, to know that you should know, are joined by many hundreds or thousands of people who are also joining us through live stream, JBS, and Facebook Live. They are celebrating and cheering you on as well. I know not everyone that you wanted to be here or in the sanctuary, so we welcome you and say Shabbat Shalom to you. And you're in for a treat with two unbelievable women who are among the best chanters I've ever heard. So it's really going to be a treat today. We hope that even if you're in a mask, even if you're sitting alone in a room somewhere very far away, that you will join in this service. I know it's not quite as easy as all of us being together in this space and not having masks on, but you're joining in, you're adding your voice and spirit. That energy will collect together and lift us all up. So I invite you to participate as much as possible in our service today. We're going to begin with a call to worship on page 108. I invite you to please rise if you're able.
Seated. We are on page 114. Baruch Ata Adonai Habocher B'Amo Yisrael Be'ahava Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'b'lechtecha b'derech u'b'shokbecha u'b'kumecha u'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 122, our song of freedom, Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Neda B'Kodesh, Norah, Tehilo, Oseh, Feler, Norah, Tehilo,
On page 124, we begin the tefillah, which is perhaps the most personal part of our prayer worship service. We'll join in this opening kavanah together on page 124, and then I invite you to continue through the Amidah at your own pace, using the words in the prayer book or closing it and offering your own silent prayer, and that when you're completed, to please be seated. For now, we rise together, page 124.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה Say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
It's now my privilege to call up Danya and Evie to our bima with their books as they will begin us and help us open up the Torah service, which they will be leading basically all of. So I'll invite you up to the front, and I'll invite the congregation to please rise.
The light of Torah shines forth from Zion. Adonai's teachings flow from Jerusalem.
This scroll has nurtured our people from Sinai to today. It teaches us love and justice, hope and peace.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti,
It's now a pleasure to call up your parents who will pass on a ritual object from your family to you, and I'll invite the rest of the community to please be seated.
So when I was last here 35 years ago for my bar mitzvah, right around here, I never could have imagined you two, and I could have never imagined how you guys made my life complete. I think of you, Evie, as someone who's just so wicked smart and resilient. When I think about what's going to allow you to do for the world and for yourself and for your family, it just fills me with awe. And Danya, you are such a sharp, critical thinker. Trends may change what you wear, as we've seen, but they won't change who you are or what you value, and I so respect that about you. I'm so proud of what you've become. I'm so proud to be your dad, and I'm thrilled to see the women that you're going to become, the impact you're going to have on the world, and Mom and Daddy are so, so proud of you.
This week, I have finally fully understood the expression, bursting with pride. Standing up here, I feel like I will burst, literally erupt and jump up and down and explode with squeals of joy, which you know I'm capable of doing. But instead, I will attempt to put into words how incredibly proud we both are of you. In fact, your dad looked at me the other day during your rehearsal and said, "Can you believe we made them?" Nearly 13 years ago, we stood on this same bima, holding each of you as infants for your baby naming. At that time, we could hope, but we couldn't possibly imagine the incredible, beautiful girls you would become. And we certainly couldn't have dared hope for the angelic voices you would have chanting Torah, and most importantly, the fundamental Jewish values you would embody, and the way you would inspire us as you embark on your journey toward becoming young women. We are all so proud of you, all of us here today. I only wish that my dad were also here to see you. I am sure he wouldn't be able to contain his pride and would probably announce, quite out of turn, that you were clearly the best Torah readers that had ever lived. And how did those scrawny little babies, as he liked to refer to you, turn into these beautiful, amazing young women? Also, when we held you up here as tiny babies, dressed exactly alike, and we probably confused you a few times, as we often did back then, we couldn't have imagined how unique you would become as your own, equally incredible, but wholly unique individuals. I had planned much longer speeches about each of you separately, which this is long enough, so you'll get to hear later tonight. But I will say just a couple of words about you. And before I do that, I have one thing that I do need to say to you, because I promised I would. Always trust your gut. And I have to say, Danya, your strength, compassion, empathy, and joy inspire me every day. And Evie, I have been awe-inspired by your bravery, courage, kindness, and who you are. Thank you both for being our inspirations and for making us so, so very proud today. Thank you. I love you both so much.
I think you're going to take a seat. You're going to do your Demar Torah, right?
thank people and then I do my Torah?
That's up to you. However you.
Okay, I'll do it that way.
All right. Good.
Okay. Before I start, first I'd like to thank Rabbi Bukdal, Cantor Mitlu, and my Hebrew tutors who all helped me to be here today. I'd also like to thank my sister Evie and my parents, brother, and the rest of my family and friends for supporting me and helping me through this process. I'm so lucky to have all of you here and all of you in my life. Okay. In my Torah portion, Moses sends spies to scout Israel, the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people where Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph lived. At the end of their 40 days there, they return and tell the others about the land. The spies say that the land has milk and honey, but that the people living there are very powerful and large. Caleb and Joshua, two of the scouts, stop the other spies and say that they should still go, and with God's support, can thrive there. But the other spies say that they shouldn't even try because the people there are way too strong and the Israelites will look like grasshoppers compared to them. The Israelite people believe the 10 spies and don't want to go into the land. And because most of the Israelite people didn't want to go, and in their moment of fear, they didn't have faith that God would be by their side, God decided to kill them, or should I say, cancel them and start over with just Moses. Now you may be thinking, how are we all here today? Isn't God all-powerful and deliberate? Well, it's because God, and yes, God, was able to listen to others. Moses and Aaron went to God and said that their people made a mistake, a stupid, fearful mistake, but that God should give them another chance. The Israelites were afraid because they thought they wouldn't stand a chance against the people of the land. And God shouldn't just kill them all because of a mistake many people might make in panic. And, well, God did what Moses and Aaron said. God was open to other views. God took their request into consideration and decided that they were right. I mean, think about that. God decided that 2 humans were right and that God had made a wrong judgment. And while God did not cancel the Jews, they also were not let off the hook. God made them wander in the desert for 40 years until their children could return to their ancestral homeland. And yes, this might seem harsh too, but God did not make the children pay for their ancestors' mistakes. This made it so the new generation could still have the opportunity to return to Israel, and so they didn't have to pay for something that their ancestors did, something that they had no control over. And this kind of action wasn't unusual, for it wasn't even the first time that God listened to the people. In the story of the golden calf, the people built an idol and decided to worship it. God gets very angry and threatens to destroy them all, but Moses is able to talk God out of it. God listened and made sure that people could question, because that is what God wants. And this wasn't just an accident. This is how God made us. Another example is in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Though God eventually does destroy the cities, Abraham is still able to question and stand up to God. After learning about this, I can't stop thinking about why we can't be open to others and allow other viewpoints other than our own, too. Why we can't follow in God's footsteps and listen to other people, even if what they're saying is the exact opposite as us. We should hear what those who are hurting are saying and try to understand them. It's part of our Jewish tradition to learn, to question, and to debate. So why can't we be open to those questions, and why can't we ask questions ourselves? Questioning and being open-minded is part of who God made us to be and what we value. And of course, it's not like we're always going to agree on these questions. We don't have to, but we can learn by listening. We can try to make sure that anyone can share their thoughts, that anyone can question what's happening, and that we will always listen and ask too, whether what's being said is different from or the same as the majority viewpoint. And just like God changed God's mind, we have to be able to change our minds when we are wrong or when we learn new information. To become better as people, as a community, and as a world, we have to give people second chances, not blame children for their ancestors' mistakes. be able to question, respectfully disagree, and agree, and be open to all questions, views, and beliefs. Thank you. My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Shalach Leha from the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verses 23 to 33. For my first Aliyah, I call upon my grandparents, Grandma Nancy and Grandpa Michael.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu es Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayavohu ad nahal eshkol. Vayikretu misham zimurav eshkol anavim ehad. Vayzohu vamod bishnayim umin harimonim umin hate'enim. Lama kom hahu kara Nahal Eshkol, Odod Heshkol, Asher Kartum Misham, B'nai Yisrael, Vayashuvu Mitur Haaretz Miketz Abarim Yom, Vayavohu, El Moshe ve'el Haron, Ve'el Kol Adat B'nai Yisrael, Amidbar Paran, Kadesha, Vashuvu, Otam, Davar, Vet Kolal, Eta, Vayarum, Et Peri Haaretz.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat emet. V'chayei olam notah b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
For my second Aliyah, I call upon my parents, Joanna and Lawrence.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaysaperu lo vayomeru banu el haaretz asher shalaktanu vegam zavat halav udvashi vezepiria efes kias ha'am hayoshev ba'aretz vehearim Betsurod, Gedolod, Meod, V'gam Yilidei Ha'anak, Ra'inu Sham. Amalek Yoshev, Be'eretz HaNegev, V'ha'Hiti, V'ha'Avosi, V'ha'Amori, Yoshev Bahar, V'ha'Kanaani, Yoshev Al-Hayam, V'ha'Yad HaYarden. Vayas Kalev et Ha'am El Moshe Vayomer Alo Na'aleh Verashnu Ota
Ki ahonu hola.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Give your parents a hug.
Danya, I think that your Devar Torah is one of those messages that should go out to the whole world right now. This idea of how we can offer judgment with compassion at the same time and give people second chances. I think it's not an accident that your name that your parents picked for you is Danya, which literally means the judgment din of Yah, of God. And we know that the judgment of God is merciful and compassionate. And so you, in a very real way, embody that sense that we have standards, but we also always pair that with a sense of compassion and justice. And I think that that is at your heart who you are as a human being. We see the strength that you bring, and it is really such a privilege to call you by this name, which is such a fitting namesake for you, for the first time that you were called to Torah, which is the highest honor we can give you in our tradition. Thank you for honoring us with the way you are chanting. Tamod, Tamod, ha-bat mitzvah, Danya Adina, bat Yehuda Leib v'Yehudit, lali ala Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamavorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'ha'anashim asher alu imo amaru lenuhal la'alot el ha'am ki hazarku mimenu. Vayotziu divat haaretz asher taru ota abnei Yisrael lemor haaretz asher avarnu va latur ota eretz oheled yosheveha hi vehoham asher ayinu betoha anshe midot. Vesham ra'inu et hanephilim, b'nei anak min hanephilim, v'nehi be'einenu kahagavim, v'hein hayinu be'eineihem. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
My Torah portion is taken from Parshat Shlach Lecha from the book of Numbers, chapter 14, verses 1 through 10. For my first aliyah, I call upon my parents, Joanne and Lawrence, and my grandmother, Barbara.
Baruch hu Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu michol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Do I read now?
Not yet. We're going to do the reading first.
Amen. Vatisa kol haida vayitnu et kolam, vayivku ha'am b'layla hahu, vayilonu al Moshe v'el Aharon kol b'nei Yisrael, vayomeru aleihem kol ha'ida lumatnu b'eretz Mitzrayim, o bamidbar hazeh lumatnu v'lamad Adonai meviotanu el haaretz hazot linpol b'harev nashenu v'tapenu yiyu lavaz halo tov lanu shuv Mitzrayma vayomeru ish elahiv nitna rosh v'nashuva Mitzrayma.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has given us a Torah of truth, implanting within us eternal life. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives the Torah. Amen.
For my second Aliyah, I call upon my Aunt Irene.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayipol Moshe v'Aharon al pneihem lifnei kol kehaladat b'nei Yisrael v'Yoshua binun v'Elev ben Yefuneh min hatarim et haaretz karu bigdeihem vayomeru el kol adat b'nei Yisrael lemor haaretz asher avarnu v'latorota tova haaretz meod meod.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Evie, there are a lot of answers you could give for when a person actually becomes a Jewish adult. Probably the first one I would offer is that it is the moment that you actually just turn 13. Just like in America, you turn 18, you become an adult. Whether or not you feel like it or not, you just are considered one. So you are an adult there. Another way of marking sort of when you become that Jewish adult and mark bat mitzvah is when you're called to the Torah for the first time for an aliyah. It's exercising one of the great responsibilities and joys and freedoms of becoming a Jewish adult is being called to the Torah, and we're about to do that. But I could argue you become a Jewish adult also when perhaps you go through a life-threatening illness, face something like that, come through it on the other side, and still embrace life with joy, strength, and the power that you have. You became an adult very early in some ways, but you never lost that sense of childhood curiosity and excitement about the world. And your name, Evie, Chaya, means life. You are a person full of life. We could not be more proud of this adult that you are in every way. Marking this moment with you is such a privilege. And we call you up for your first aliyah as bat mitzvah. Tamod, tamod, ha-bat mitzvah. Chava Abigail, bat Yehuda Lev Yehudit, l'aliyah la Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Im hafetz banu Adonai, ve'hevi otanu el haaretz hazot, untana lanu eretz asher yi zavat halav udvash, ach b'Adonai al timrodu ve'atem al tiru etam haaretz ki lachmenu heim sar sila me'aleihem Adonai itanu al tiraum vayomeru kol haida lirgom otam bavanim ukvod Adonai nira be'ohel moed el kol b'nei Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Imagine feeling trapped in complete despair, feeling as if there is no hope and no way out of the darkness. Now imagine someone shows you a way out. While the sorrow and grief of the community begins to capture any hope left, two people still see through the fog and darkness blocking their view. That is the story of Caleb and Joshua in my Torah portion. Moses had previously sent out 12 spies to scout the Promised Land. 10 of the 12 spies said it was too hard to defeat the Canaanites in the land. Being overcome by fear and grief, the community fell into despair and started to think that they would never live in the Promised Land. They even began to question whether it would have been better to stay enslaved. But 2 spies, Joshua and Caleb, said that the Israelites could be successful. So, what was different about Joshua and Caleb from the other 10 spies? While others gave in to the fear, Joshua and Caleb held on to their faith, which gave them certainty and courage to overcome all obstacles. Logic would have told them to go along with the rest of the group and give in to the doubt that consumed the others. But they trusted God and held on to their belief, knowing they could make it happen. No matter how much doubt and uncertainty entered Joshua and Caleb's minds, their faith and determination guided them through the challenges ahead and gave them the light they needed to try to lift the rest of the Israelites out of the darkness. Even though it could be easy to be blinded by the darkness blocking them, Joshua and Caleb held on to their vision, and by doing so, they made that vision a reality. The Israelites were punished for their unwillingness to go into the land by having to wander in the desert for 40 years. But Joshua and Caleb's trust in God was recognized, and they were the only men from their generation who made it to the Promised Land. Their faith was rewarded, and their vision was realized. The Jewish people survived because of them. In life, we are faced with obstacles we don't think we can overcome, or goals we think are too hard to achieve. At those times, it is easy to fall into despair like the Israelites did. But if we are lucky, there will be people in our lives like Joshua and Caleb who give us a glimmer of hope and encouragement. My messengers of hope came in white coats. When I was 6, I was diagnosed with cancer. Fear overtook my mind at many times, but luckily the doctors and nurses at the hospital were there to pull me out of the darkness and show me hope. When the sun was just barely beginning to rise from the gloomy clouds and most of the city was still asleep, I would arrive at the hospital, and every morning the doctors and nurses would still play with me and entertain me while I waited for my early morning treatment. Even when the thought of all the needles that I would have to endure later on clouded my mind, the laughter and joy that this small act brought me lifted my spirits and erased all the fear that was once scattered all throughout my body. Although searching for hope that seemed so lost and forgotten in the darkness and sorrow seemed almost impossible, I was able to find it due to the kindness the many people I encountered during my battle with cancer showed me. Many children today battling with the same disease I fought still yearn for this lost hope. And even though I can't erase the pain and suffering this awful disease has caused them, I can try to show kids the hope and support that the people at Memorial Sloan Kettering showed me. So, for the past 6 years, I have raised money for MSK kids. Whether it's wandering through the desert for 40 years or battling cancer, this Torah portion shows no matter how bad things get, having someone who gives you hope helps you manage even the most difficult challenges of life. It is important for all of us to be like Caleb and Joshua and try to offer a glimmer of light for those trapped in dark places. Now, I would like to say thank you to all the people who helped me on this journey. First, thank you to all the people from Saturday LCLJ Shabbat. Going to LCLJ on Saturday always made my day. And thank you to Rabbi Bookdal, Cantor Mutlu, Alex, and all my tutors who helped prepare me for this day. To my dad, thank you for being my partner in crime. You always know just how to make me laugh, and I'm so lucky to have you in my life. To my mom, thanks for always having a smile on your face and always seeing the good in things, even when I can. You're the best mom I could ever have. To Kofax, thanks for always interrupting me during Hebrew school. It gave me a nice break from singing just when I needed it. But more importantly, thank you for always adoring me, even if you don't always show it. To Grandma Nancy and Grandpa Michael, I'm so happy to finally see you again, and I'm so excited for Camp Grandma and Grandpa this summer. To my grandma, you were always so supportive of me, no matter what, and I'm so grateful for everything you do to me. To Grandpa Ron, I know if you were here today, you would look at me with that same loving look in your eyes you always looked at me with, and I wish more than anything you could be here now and I could see that adoring expression on your face. And finally, to Danya, I wouldn't have wanted to go through this experience with anyone else. You're the best sister I could ever ask for, and I love you so much. The Haftarah for this week is taken from the book of Joshua. I will be reading from chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar bin v'im tovim v'rtzav v'divrehem hane'emerim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah uv Moshe avdo uve'Yisrael amo uvinviei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Vayishlach Yoshua bin Nun min hashitim shnayim anashim meraglim eresh lemor lecho reu et haaretz v'tiriho vayelehu vayavo be'esh
Isha Sona Ushmarahav Vaishkevushama Vayamar Lemelech Yiriho Lemor Hine Anashim Ba'u Hena Halayla Mi B'nei Yisrael Lachporet Haaretz Vayishlach Melech Yiriho El Rahav Lemor Hotzi Hanashim Habayim Elaik Asher Ba'ol Levetek Ki Lachporet Kol Haaretz Ba'u Vatika Haisha Et Shnei Hanashim Vatitz Beno Vatomer Kein Ba'u Elai Hanashim Velo Yadati Me'ayin Hema Vayehi Hashar Liskor Bahoshech V'hanashim Yatsau Lo Yadati Ana Halehu Anashim Ridfu Maher Aharehem Kitasigu
You could just start with your after, it's okay.
Okay.
Where do you start?
It's Vim Tagidi.
Great, perfect.
Okay. Vim Tagidi et Devarenu Zeh V'hayinu Nakim Mi Shavuatek Asher Hishbatanu Vatomer Kedivrahem Kenhu Vatishohem Vayalehu Vatikshor Etikvat Hashani Bahalon Valhu Vayavohu Hahara Vaishvusham Shelo Shed Yamim Ad Shavu Harodafim Vayavakshu Harodafim Behol HaTerek Velo Matzau Vayashuvu Shnei Hanashim Vayardu Mehahar Vayavru Vayavohu El Yehoshua Binun Vayasa Perlo Et Kol HaMotzeot Otam Vayamru El Yehoshua Binatan Adonai Bayadenu Et Kol Haaretz V'gam Namogu Kol Yoshevei Haaretz Mipaneinu Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sor kol haolamim Sadiq b'kol hadorot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Haomer v'oseh Hamdaver kayim Shehol devarav Emet v'tzedek Al HaTorah Ve'al ha'avodah Ve'al ha'neviim Ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdushav limnuha Lehavod Ultifarhed Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach, varchim otach, Yitbarach Shimcha befim hohai, Tamid leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Rosh Shemo.
Mekahadesh Hashapar.
Amen. Incredible. Evie, why don't you come down here and join your sister, and we're going to call your parents and Kofax up to join you because we are completely about to burst at the seams with joy and pride over
Yes,
what
Joanna,
we just
now we're all
witnessed.
bursting.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I can't believe what you both did. You brought to life our Torah, both with your beautiful voices and with your incredible wisdom. So the only thing we can do now is to celebrate. So let's all rise and sing our song of celebration, Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov.
Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov U'Mazel Tov Siman Tov Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov U'Mazel Tov Siman Tov Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov U'Mazel Tov Siman Tov So I'll invite the congregation to remain standing, and I will take Danya up to the ark first, and then Evie next, as I offer them a few words of blessing in front of our ark. And I'll invite everyone who's gathered, both in the sanctuary and watching us today, to take those quiet moments and maybe offer your own blessing on these two amazing young women at this moment in their lives, and to take that in as we offer these words.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Behamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us not wrong from right. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Behamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen.
remain standing as we begin our concluding prayers with Aleinu on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לדור הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העולם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
At every service, we conclude with a moment of memory where we call to mind those who are no longer here on earth but are very much a part of this moment, blessing this moment, blessing these two young women. And so we come together with a prayer that not only thanks God for life, but thanks God for the life of those we loved even when they're gone. We name a few. We name members of our Central Synagogue family who've died in recent weeks: Richard Ballinger, Murray Davidson, Ann Lowy, Leon Polin, Herbert Strauss. And if you are remembering a loved one right now or observing a yard site, the anniversary of their death, I invite you to say that name out loud as well. May the memories of our loved ones be an abiding blessing. We join together, page 294, with Kaddish Tome. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei l'kudisha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushpachata v'nechemata ta'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
So, Evie and Danya, we are so proud of you, but I can't think of who might be more proud than your parents. And they actually chose this closing song, this parent prayer.
I think you need to go over to your parents so they can,
I was just about to say, you have to be together for this special prayer, the special song that I know your parents love from LCLJ Shabbat. So we'll sing this together as our closing song to you.
Here with you beside me, I feel so greatly blessed. This moment means much more than I can say. A time to be together, a time for us to rest. Shabbat is here, the time has come to celebrate the day. So I hold you close, my hands upon your head. And from me to you, my child, these words are said. Yisimcha Elohim
take all this love that we're feeling, this fullness, this bursting with joy, and bring it out into a world that needs it. Shabbat Shalom.